So he's putting out a plan, and it turns out that he is introducing some consolidation and streamlining of the regulatory system on Wall Street, but he's not making the regulations any tighter. He's not preventing the predatory lending that is responsible for a lot of these problems. And it helps to understand that the mortgage lending industry spent $185 million lobbying against some of the reforms that could have prevented this current housing crisis. Yeah. That's how Washington has come to work. I mean, think about it. We've been talking about the healthcare crisis for decades now, through Democratic and Republican administrations, and yet year after year after year, nothing ever changes. Why is that? Well, it helps to understand that the drug and the insurance companies have spent $1 billion over the last decade preventing reform from happening. Energy. Everybody's looking at gas prices right now. But listen, the energy problems we have aren't new. We've been talking about them since 1973, since Jimmy Carter. And you know the only thing that's changed since 1973? We actually import more oil than we did then. We've got record prices at the pump, and ExxonMobil made $11 billion last quarter in profits. Why is that? Well, it helps to understand that George Bush put my cousin Dick Cheney in charge of energy policy. That was really embarrassing. Somebody read about that. We got some Mr. Cousin about it. But when Cheney was supposed to be putting together an energy policy, you know what he did? He met with the renewable energy groups once, he met with the environmental groups once, and then he met with the oil and gas companies 40 times. So is it any wonder that the energy laws coming out of Washington have been very good for ExxonMobil, not so good for you? So here's my point. You know, I have a lot of good plans to bring about change. Senator Clinton has some very good plans to bring about change. But change will not happen just by changing political parties in the White House. It's not enough just to elect a Democratic president if we don't change how business is done in Washington. Washington is not listening to you. They don't hear the young woman I met who gets 3 hours of sleep every night because she's going to school full-time, taking care of a sister with cerebral palsy, and then works the night shift so that she can afford to support both of them. Washington's not listening to her story. They're not listening to the story of the guys who've been laid off from a plant that got shipped overseas, and suddenly not only do they lose their job, but they lose their pension and their health care, and they're having to compete with their teenage kids for a job at the local Walmart paying $7, $8 an hour. Washington's not hearing them. Washington's not hearing the voices of the vets coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan. They got post-traumatic stress disorder that don't seem to be able to get the care that they need, and then the homeless on the streets. So what this election has to be about is making Washington responsive to you, hearing your stories. You know, the American people aren't looking for a handout from Washington. We are a proud and self-reliant people, willing to work hard for everything that we get. Everybody here wants to chase their American dream and pass it on to their kids and their grandkids. What they do expect, though, is if they're able and willing to work, they should be able to find a job that pays a living wage. They do expect that they shouldn't be bankrupt when they get sick, that they should be able to send their kid to college even if they're not rich. They should be able to retire with some dignity and respect. That's the kind of change I want to bring about. ways for us to not solve every problem overnight, but we can start making changes that really make a difference in people's lives. Now, first of all, we can go ahead and tell the lobbyists that their days of setting the agenda in Washington are over. They won't run my White House. They won't drown out the voices of the American people or our president. Then we can start tackling some of the problems that have been out there for years. We can stop talking about the outrage of 47 million people without health insurance and start doing something about it. I have put forward a very specific plan. If you've already got health insurance, we're going to lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year, working with your employer. If you don't have health insurance, we're going to set up a plan that is as good as the health care I have as a member of Congress, and you will be able to buy into it, and if you can't afford it, we will subsidize you. You will not be excluded from pre-existing conditions. We will emphasize prevention and primary care. We are going to negotiate with the drug companies for the cheapest available price on drugs so that seniors are able to actually get the full prescriptions that they need at an affordable price. And we won't wait 20 years from now to do it or 10 years from now to do it. We will do it by the end of my first term as President of the United States. I want to make sure that every child in America, every child in Lancaster has the best education this country has to offer. So we're going to invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap. Make sure every child is prepared for school. We are going to pay our teachers more money. We are going to give them more support. They can do an even more effective job inside the schools. I want to have high standards in our schools because our kids need to meet high standards to compete with China and India, but I don't want those high standards measured just by a single high-stakes standardized test. Young person. We're going to give a $4,000 tuition credit every student every year. But young people would like to give something back